What is going on, everybody? Jeremy here from, the Jeremy Hambly channel. And it would appear that J.K. Rowling has had enough of these woke dorks who she made multimillionaires when they were 8 or 9 or 10 years old, dragging her name through the mud. And she has just absolutely gone nuclear on, not just Daniel Radcliffe, the Harry Potter star, but also Emma Watson, another Harry Potter star. Now, they have been using her name, dragging her name through the mud for the past 5 or 10 years to get into the headlines. Now, I couldn't tell you a single movie Emma Watson's been in or Daniel Radcliffe since the Harry Potter series. I've also seen more than one movie, and it's not just Harry Potter, and I've read more than one book, and it's not just Harry Potter. So maybe hardcore Harry Potter fans could tell you, but this response has been absolutely savage. So Emma Watson went on some dork podcast, and after years of disparaging J.K. Rowling, after years of turning the temperature up when people were showing up at J.K. Rowling's house, when people were sending J.K. Rowling death threats, now she's trying to mend the bridge, and in the typical way of, not apologizing, but just wanting to be forgiven.
Well, I'd like to think so. And I think there are some other positive signs, too, that things are shifting. When you see the media starting to say trans women are men, then I think we really are winning. But Emma Watson was careful, wasn't she, not to go too far. I think what she's going to find now is you can't sit on the fence. She was a real cheerleader for Mermaids, the charity, and for transitioning children and
correct,
for people knowing who they are.
There's also kind of there's that clip of her at the BAFTAs, and it was just kind of like a really snidey, there's that bit where she says, I'm here for all the witch, but one. Or what, yeah, it was just nasty.
Yeah.
Right when J.K. Rowling was getting a lot of rape threats, death threats.
So whether she is trying to row back from that full-hearted support for transitioning children, or whether she's just trying to get back in with J.K. Rowling in the hope of work, who knows? Richard.
Well, I could tell you. She is, in fact, trying to get back in with J.K. Rowling, and this is her response. I've seen quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I am not owed eternal gratitude from any actor who once played a character I created, essentially saying she's irrelevant. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. J.K. Rowling, of course, did receive all these threats. However, Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe in particular have both made it clear over the past few years that they think our former professional association gives them some sort of particular right, nay, obligation to critique me and my views in the public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world that I, in fact, created. Whew. When you've known people since they were 10, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of kids who needed to be gently coaxed to their dialogue in a big, scary film studio. For the past few years, I've repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I don't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech, and in truth, that was a turning point for me, but it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained a single sentence. I'm sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number, by the way. This was back when death and R-word threats and torture threats were going on against me and at their peak, all by trans psychopaths, by the way. So, these are all people. Emma Watson had every possible chance to turn down the temperature, to tell people, hey, I disagree with J.K. Rowling, but, maybe can we have some civility? She knew all this stuff was going on. She chose to say nothing publicly, and she also chose to say nothing privately. She passed a note like a child would, but she's in her 30s now. That was back when all these things were at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just poured more gas on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience in real life, she's ignorant of just how ignorant she is. She'll need a homeless shelter. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed on a mixed gender public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's ever been in a high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is a single occupancy and comes with a security man standing outside the door. Has she had to strip off any newly mixed gender changing rooms at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run crisis center that refuses to guarantee that all females can have service there? To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male creep who's identified as a woman and sitting in the women's prison? No. I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. They were. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony is that, had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack, I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed the full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it once was. I might have never been this honest. She's 100% right about this. The whole, biological men or women nonsense is over. Like, it's over. She now knows that it's no longer chic. It's no longer the thing to do. It's no longer the thing to get you movie roles. It's no longer the thing to get you, thrown in, to get jobs here or there or everywhere, whatever the case may be. She is out there on her own. And so now she's trying to act like, well, guys, come on. Yeah, she was getting near daily threats, and threats that I only continued to exacerbate by using her name in public to say that she was an enemy of the trans people. But I did send her a post-it note that said, I'm sorry. Adults cannot expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination and then assert their right to a former friend's love as though the friend was, in fact, their mother. Emma is rightly free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right, and I have finally decided to exercise it. 400,000 likes. I'm proud of you. I still feel silly to feel proud of a woman I don't know and probably have no right to feel proud of, but I feel like you're standing up for yourself, voicing so clearly and unequivocally the effrontery, insult, and hurt and subdued anger most of us have felt at the hands of trans ideologues. He says, don't you think as she grows older, she might be internally distancing herself from the belief that she once held when she was young? Again, this is a trap because, as J.K. Rowling perfectly points out, she could have contacted me privately any time to say her views had changed. If they had, I'd have been entirely supportive. What she's chosen to do instead is yet another bit of public brand repositioning without talking to me, but instead using my name for her purpose. It's getting old. Based? The handwritten note reveals something central to celebrity culture, that they expect the venal lies that they tell in public to be understood in such a private, regardless of their cost they generate for others. It's absolutely bonkers. I am JK the White, and I come back to you now as at the turn of the tide. Look, J.K. Rowling is still kind of a very, very liberal person, very, very pro-immigrant, illegal immigrant, even though she doesn't house any of them at her multi-million-dollar mansions. She's still basically a bog standard liberal that has enabled the destruction of the UK. But in this one issue, in women's rights and in protecting women, she has been very consistent, and she has stood her ground basically through all of the attacks and cancellation attempts and public humiliation that all of these actors that she made basically with her property. So I am absolutely happy that she is unloading from the top rope. My name's Jeremy. This channel is called Jeremy Hambley. If you're new here, please subscribe or follow down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.